Welcome to your family chiropractor. Or welcome. Hold on.
That too.
I'm gonna stop that. Hold on. Okay. Welcome everybody to the Synapse Philosophy Group. We are having an amazing day already, and I just want to say thank you to everybody, because I got the message today of 2021, the YouTube stats, 10,700 minutes listened to. Okay, 10,700 minutes is of watched video from what we do here. Okay, this is the only podcast I do videos on. Sometimes I do some others, but I tell you, that's really amazing. And thousands of whatever of people watching, which is really, really cool around the world. Chiropractic philosophy. And I think that's incredible. So, it's everybody that has been a part of it. We have people come and go all the time, which is absolutely beautiful. But I just want to say absolutely thank you for everybody that joins us, and that joins us like in Europe, the Middle East. People get in all around the world where the time they can't just join in live. The time frame just doesn't allow that. So it is amazing to see that. So I just posted that for everybody on the website and the page, and truly amazing. And I want to tell Dave Sarnoff, are you there yet? He's coming. Dave, we hit 10,700 minutes of viewing time on our video podcast that we're doing here in Chiropractic Philosophy this year. That is incredible. Okay. So I was just talking about that. So you've been a big part of that, Dave. Did you get that number? Did you hear that?
10,700.
That is incredible. So we're changing the world around the world. All right. So my man, Alan, is going to start us off. We're on page. You go ahead and give us the page.
You said you wanted to start at 87, halfway down, where he talks about the human babe, right?
Yeah.
So we are in the Chiropractors Adjuster, the Science, Art, and Philosophy of Chiropractic by D.D. Palmer, page 87. And if you're looking at the book, we're about halfway down that page. The human babe is not a machine. It is not mechanical. It is not a piece of mechanism. It has not the counterparts of the engine. You might as well try to illustrate the working of a babe by that of a potato. Both have eyes and skin. They live and grow. There is far more resemblance between the functions of a babe and the potato than between the babe and the engine. The main difference lies in the fact that we are accustomed to make foolish comparisons of the engine and not the potato. Is he going back to Carver here, right? In the quotation?
Well, just above that, what he's really talking about, a lot of people relate chiropractic to a mechanism, or the body as a mechanism. And we're not machines, is what he's saying. We're not your car. We're not a sewing machine. We're amazing systems that are far beyond the comprehension of basic mechanics, right? We don't know how the body works. So that's where he's going back to that. He did not like analogies of mechanical systems as the human body or a living body, because it's so amazing, right? So that's where he's going on with this. I don't exactly know who he's rebutting to.
I think this is still Carver, yeah.
Is it still Carver?
Yeah. So as we go on, this is a quote from the letter that he's been responding to throughout this.
That's the next one.
So this is Carver speaking. It is mechanically prepared to do normal service, but its mother restrains it and constantly mentions that it has very delicate health, will not live long, and cannot play like other children, unquote. Then Didi comes back. The babe can no more be mechanical than the engine can be organic. The latter exhibits animal characteristics. The former is inert and lifeless. The mother may restrain the child's appetite if so it suffers. But the lying suggestions are discovered to be false and deceptive sooner than the mother expects. The child steals away and satisfies its physical and mental desires. what has suggestion done? See, we're back to suggestion, which is what that whole Carver thing was all about. The Carver says, its body becomes emaciated, but it suffers no luxations. It accepts all its mother's statements, believes them to be true, and in consequence becomes pale, weak, and emaciated. The difficulty is not mechanical, but is in the intelligence department. As with the engine per se, chiropractic has nothing to do. Can chiropractors reach such cases? And Didi comes back with, you can bet your last dollar on chiropractic reaching such a case. There's no doubt in his mind, is there? If he was a graduate of the originator of science, he would at once recognize that the emaciation, the whiteness around the mouth, the flushed cheek, and weakened condition were due to a lack of digestion. Upon inquiry, he would find that the child had a capacious appetite, sometimes eating voraciously, and that at other times evincing an aversion to food, that often it would be very thirsty, that stools were changeable in appearance and consistency, that there was almost continued itching of the nose and rectum, bloating of the distress of the abdomen. These signs and symptoms suggest the presence of intestinal worms, scavengers living upon decayed food because of indigestion, a wise invasion of nature. There is one sign of worms more reliable and satisfactory than all of the above. This is a number of red papillae on the inside of the lower lip, plainly to be seen by turning it lip outward. Their number will be proportionate to the number of worms and the degree of indigestion. We want to go through all this.
Next part, once he gets to it's the last paragraph from the bottom, the one up from the bottom, where the subluxation begins at birth. Okay, so yes, he's going through a little bit. We could have skipped here, but that right after this paragraph where you are, he's talking about luxation at birth. And I think that's important because he recognizes the importance of infant adjusting. Okay.
So I'm going to, he goes on for 2 more paragraphs about signs and symptoms. And I'm going to skip down to where it says, as may be seen from above.
That's the paragraph I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he goes on for 2 paragraphs here talking about more symptoms and signs. And then Didi goes on to say, as may be seen from the above, worms are scavengers. They live upon decayed food. The nerves of stomach innervation are impinged upon by a displacement of the 5th dorsal vertebra. This luxation may have occurred at birth by the careless handling of the nurse or from poisonous drugs. The chiropractor replaces the displaced vertebra, takes off the pressure from that innervation so that innervation may be normal in amount, and digestion then becomes perfect, leaving no decayed food for scavengers. The walls of the stomach being normal, assimilation is perfect. The stomach can convert food into an absorbable form. Chiropractors reach just such cases. Suggestion is but little or no benefit in restraining or promoting the functions of the human body or the engine on the track.
Okay. The next part, he's going to go into behavioral issues, which, is rampant in our society now. The things that people are dealing with aren't brand new, but he goes into the subluxation of that. I thought those are kind of important because we want, where was Didi on infant adjusting? And here he goes right from birth and a 5th dorsal subluxation. So we've been talking about infants receiving chiropractic care, and there are places that want to stop that. And I think that's insanity. So it goes all the way back to Didi talking about infant adjusting. So that is an important that, 88 and 89 have a lot to do with that. So just for our future reference, for whoever wants to go back and look at that or wonders where, we are with chiropractic adjusting babies, because BJ actually didn't talk about it very much. I'm sure there are instances, but I don't know many. Okay, so we don't have to go on through there. Again, it gets just a little bit drier, all right? So where I have marked next, the principle is the fundamental truth.
I have that marked too.
Do you really?
I got it highlighted. And
all right, You want to start there again? That's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the way. That's why we outline. You don't have to read all of it, right?
I got that marked off. Yes, absolutely. And so this is Dee Dee talking now. A principle is a fundamental truth.
1 second, page 90.
I'm sorry, that's
second
page
to the last
90. It's the
paragraph.
next to last paragraph. A principle is a fundamental truth, a comprehensive law from which others are derived. A principle cannot respond to a suggestion. It cannot stop an action or remove life. Thus, friend Carver, your, quote, demonstrated facts, unquote, are built upon fallacious reasoning. Mind does not control the functions. There is an intelligence that controls the mind and its functions, as well as the functions of the body.
Stop right there.
Yeah, I have that absolutely highlighted. Mind does not control the functions. There is an intelligence that controls the mind and its functions, as well as the functions of the body.
Wow. Okay. Now we need a PhD with philosophy here, like your son. Oh my goodness. So he just said, now he's getting in there again. Mind, it's more important than mind. You know, is he speaking about educated intelligence or thoughts?
He's actually, remember, this is 1910.
Yeah.
The 33 principles weren't fully developed for another 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, we just did them. It took us 5 months.
Yeah. But we're going back to 1910.
Yeah.
Stevenson says 1927.
That's right.
So he's actually wrestling with that innate universal, that the concept of innate intelligence
and educated intelligence
versus
innate and educated right here. Yeah.
Yep.
So you have innate mind and innate body, and you have educated mind and educated body. Figure 4 out of Stevenson, which is BJ's favorite diagram.
Yep.
But he's struggling with that, or he's playing with that Play-Doh here right now.
Yeah, he's playing with that's beautiful, playing with the Play-Doh. He's developing chiropractic philosophy, right? He's putting it into words that didn't exist before. And, people have said, oh, Stevenson to get anything from D.D. Palmer. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's basically, he summed it up and made it more easier for us to understand. Stevenson did. Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Dwayne. That's very insightful. I have another mark on the paragraph that's the mirror image of that on page 91. It says the life mind. By this presume you mean, it's a good one. It's a good paragraph.
I'm looking because I think that's Carver in there. I don't need. Okay.
Well, if you
want
go
me to
up,
start there, the life mind
on 91, the top of the page, you see that first paragraph. Spirit, innate, the intelligence would gives the mind purported periodical. You want to
okay?
That's a pretty good one up there too.
All right, so Dee Dee goes on here. There's something from Carver, and then Dee Dee goes on at the first paragraph of page 91. Spirit, innate, the intelligence which gives the mind temporary periodical rests from sensation, feeling, and thought, is possessed of reason and the power of analyzing, as demonstrated by innumerable acts during the hours of sleeping and when awake. If, quote, it is an evident fact that within means of self, there is no more fruitful source of health than correct autosuggestion. That's from Carver there. He's quoting out of the letter.
Yeah.
Why did you not make mention of it in your analysis of abnormalities? Did my answer to your letters regarding suggestion set you thinking? If so, these pages may cause your mind to functionate properly and reason correctly on the fundamental principles of chiropractic from which the science, art, and philosophy of chiropractic is derived. Is that functionate again? That's a word we don't use anymore.
No. And then really, the last paragraph there.
And down the last paragraph.
Yeah.
So then the last paragraph on the page, quote, the life mind. By this, I presume you mean that which is known as subconscious mind. The mind of innate or educated the mind of innate or educated reasons, feels, wills, remembers, and thinks. Abnormal mental impulse, in quotes, all impulses, whether of the motor, centrifugal nerve fibers, or the sensory traveling toward the center from the periphery, are normal, could not be otherwise. I have that part. All impulses, all normal, are normal, could not be otherwise, underlined actually. But if the medium through which the instruction passes is excited above or depressed below normal, the impulses are augmented or decreased accordingly. In the preceding paragraph, you cite me a catalepsy as one of the many diseases which you claim are caused by pernicious suggestion, which by displacing the subjective mental force results in abnormal mental impulse, and that this condition may be corrected by positive affirmation. In your late work, I observed that you analyze catalepsy as a fiction of the muscles under subjective control, just at the point where physical condition unites with subjective cannot be clearly laid down. It will be found that adjusting at the points indicated will at once check the increase of constriction, and a general tendency to relaxation will appear. Adjusting at first should be repeated at short intervals. I'm pleased to observe that you are progressing toward the science of chiropractic. So part of that was something that he's given Carver credit for, acknowledging that chiropractic is what's doing the work here.
Well, I just looked up catalepsy, okay? And then it says catalepsy is a nervous condition characterized by muscular rigidity and fixity of posture regardless of external stimuli, as well as decreased sensitivity, and accompanied by rigidity, loss of sensation and consciousness, characterized by a trance or seizure.
Yeah, catatonic.
Catatonic. Well, we did a lot just now. Anybody have any input?
This is, again, it goes back to what later on became part of the 33 principles. You know, all impulses are normal and could not be otherwise. Yeah. That they can be interfered with, but the impulses that come from the innate intelligence are always right. They're
That's
always,
they can't
be anything else. They're always normal.
Yeah.
Perfect for the body it's in.
I'm down to writing notes with, pieces. I don't even have whole crayons anymore.
It's borrowing those from your kids, right?
Yeah. This desk used to be mine once, but that was a long time ago, and I had hair, I think. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's a very, very good point, Alan. Very good point. I had to mark that because I think that makes a lot of sense. That, I'm going to put a 33 next to that because we can reference back to that one. One of my goals with this is I've found readers to read the whole book, and it would be expensive, about $3,000, $4,000, which isn't that bad to have a professional actor do it. I've done it with a couple of other books like 1914 and BJ's volume 33. But it's different on this because you have to have that Carver. You got to know who it is. You got to know the voices. So even taking some of this and making, even if it's just the DD sections of we're reading and having that in an MP3 where we can just listen to DD or listen to us, which, we also load this to Spotify. But this is really important. I can skip now. What I did was skip here to 94. Structure determines function. And about halfway down is where I have that, it outlined a little bit. Innate always existed and always will is the last paragraph on 91. There's probably a little bit more meat in there, like the paragraph just above it. Have you not maimed your universal law of cure by adopting chiropractic straight as given in the analysis? I mean, it is pretty good. And then 95, we have the bottom over here. If you'd like to go on, we can go on.
Actually, that same paragraph you were just looking at, the last line is, do you not realize that Innate knows more of human economies than educated ever did or ever will know?
I'm marking that one too. I think that's a really powerful statement.
Innate
And
always existed and always will. Progression is stamped in Innate's every act. Development of material by intelligence. I think that's all important stuff.
I've
This is
got it
that
marked.
Innate is there to help us progress and help in life progress from a single cell to what we have today.
Yeah.
It's a progression. Innate was in that single cell that first appeared, and now it's evolved through time and to it's evolved the beings and the living entities that it's been in to become what we are today. Changes more or less experimental in organisms are being made to suit environments. Innate has a knowledge gleaned from life of eternity. It runs the functions of the human body as readily as the first day of its habitation, as in after years. It is infinite, unlimited in time and experience. Innate comprehends human economy. Educated looks after machinery. Educated is the mechanic. You suggest that this upstart of today should dictate to its master, its progenitor, how it should run economic functions. The functions of metabolism are as perfect, usually more so in the idiot and illiterate, than in those of educated and exalted birth. Why should educated suggest to thine superior? In very many instances, I have found that Innate, for special purposes, has built piers and locks, made foramina and tunnels instead of grooves, elongated processes, ankylosed joints, made new joints in unusual places. In fact, made many changes in osseous tissue to accommodate its habitation to surrounding circumstances. If educated will replace all displacements of the bony framework, Innate will care for all internal needs.
Now,
that's heavy stuff.
That's structure determines function. He's talking the body adapts.
No, the other way.
Structure determines function.
Function determines structure.
Function determines structure. Please forgive me. So, no matter what, and this, halfway down is where we're going to stop. This is where he ends it with Willard Carver. Okay. But, yeah, that's where he's talking about the magic and the amazingness of innate intelligence. You want to do these next 2 or 3 paragraphs?
Sure.
And we're done with Carver.
I'll skip Carver and skip to where it says true.
Yeah.
True, the patient should be made passive during osseous adjusting. Dr. Henry has accomplished far more in this much needed requirement by having the patient place his arms parallel with and close to his body, or his hands on the buttocks. The latter act requiring much less time than you have been able to do or ever can do with suggestion. Chiropractors who understand the science do not need, quote, double headers. Blah, blah, blah. I am pleased to learn that you have, he's good. Now he skips here. I'm skipping a piece, the last paragraph from Carver and going to,
that's Carver. Yeah.
This is then Dee Dee's summing up here. I'm pleased to learn that you have discarded suggestive therapeutics, that you have brought the science of chiropractic up to date. Now make your adjustments specific. Make chiropractic a science. Chiropractic does not need aid. Chiropractors need more knowledge.
He's giving us, this is what it is. That's why he put 95 pages or more. He's going to go on, probably rant a little more about Carver's letter, how important it is to be specific, telling us, keep it clear and pure and don't muddy the water. You're making things confusing. You can't suggest the level of, from your educated to the beauty of innate. Innate knows what's going on. I think it's wonderful. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think
there's a line on page. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Dwayne.
Go on, Dwayne. Speak up.
I think it's interesting about this same time in church history. This Industrial Revolution did a lot to damage our thinking about things. We started to parse things apart, but never put them back together. It happened with industrial education, industrialized medicine, industrialized religion, where they took things apart to figure out how they work, but they never bothered to put them back together.
Yeah. We were talking before we started tonight about really this is the industrial revolution's happening. He's saying we're far more important than mechanism. And we've industrialized birth, we're industrializing life, we're industrializing sickness, you industrialize death, and then there's no control of your life. And he's looking at freedom, really, absolutely. This is so much bigger than mechanism, right? Being mechanistic, being vitalistic. Absolutely. Well, we went pretty far.
There's one last thing on page 96 where he's responding to somebody else who talks about blood as the
Let's not go to 96 yet. Let's wait. We went pretty far today.
Okay.
We've read a lot right now because I have some other things from 96 and 97 marked off as well. And I think we really actually did a lot of work. And let's stick with that because there's a lot to chew on from D.D. Palmer right here. We can digest it a little bit. Even that next paragraph down, when a chiropractor replaces a displaced vertebra, any one of 300 articular joints of the human body. I mean, he's already made his point. It's good. We're going to go on from there. Is that okay?
Good with me.
All right. Well, we touched on a lot of D.D. Palmer today. I have tomorrow or next week, this is page 95, 97 and 98. And I have a few things on 96. So we'll start where DD takes off again. Okay. So we're going to go through that.
I think that it's interesting to read this and Dwayne, you pointed it out and it makes me think about it even more that we credit Stevenson and BJ for so much philosophy, and in reality, as we read this, the core of it is here.
Oh, it's all here. And
yeah, it's all here first.
Different has never read
and they may have written it down in different ways, or they made it. They've made some progress in understanding in other ways, or made it in ways that people could relate to it in different ways. But it's all here.
100% from D.D. Palmer, 100%. And and he tries to correct BJ in here, which I love that, about mental impulse, the difference between mental impulse and vital forces and all those things. So yeah, 100% agreement. All right, men, have a wonderful night. We had an awesome evening, and we're going to be putting this in subtitles in Portuguese and in Spanish. All these last ones from D.D. Palmer, I have them doing it now. It's not easy. I hire some people to do it, and so they do a beautiful job. But if you find any discrepancies in your language, in Portuguese or Spanish, please let me know. He's going to have to translate this to you, and he's a wonderful man. Both of them are. And, they've been very, very helpful, but they don't speak they're new to chiropractic, even though they've been translating for a while. So in your language, if something comes up, tell me, and we can correct it in the video. Okay. Awesome. I love and appreciate everybody because I'm learning every single minute I'm on here. I really am. And I appreciate you all. And I know a lot of other people do too. So, thank you.
Since I may miss a meeting or two, I want to say Happy New Year to all y'all. Healthy, happy, and prosperous years for everybody. Good holidays. And if I can get on in the next couple of weeks, I will. But since I'll be traveling, I may not. So,
well, I found a blooper reel from one of my travels, and we might make a blooper. I might use the beginning of this one too, because I couldn't get my words out of my mouth. We were camping, and I had a cat jump from behind me, the dark black woods behind me, and a cat jumped on the computer. Not my cat. It was really funny. Dave Sarnoff was on that one. Anyway, you guys have a beautiful night. I love and appreciate you.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks,
Good night.
Dwayne. See you, Haig.